that's what I would say to those individuals. There really is nothing to this. It just would be us talking, us having a conversation. The conversation goes wherever the conversation goes, and you just roll with it. And before you know it, it's over with. It doesn't take that long to do, 30 to 45 minutes. It really doesn't. 30 to 45 minutes of talking goes by a lot quicker than you think it does. But, like I said in past episodes, I can't make anybody do this show that doesn't want to do it. People say they want to do it, and then they back out on me. I can't make them do it. But I think, it's just a real shame because I know there are certain people that I interact with in my everyday life and certain people that I interact with on Facebook that would be perfect for this show. They just have so many, and not necessarily people that always agree with me or, are always on my side of thinking on things, but, just certain people that, just have like a lot to say and a lot of the people that I find interesting that I know would be great for the show, be great for the podcast. So this is the time of the show where I want to give out some shout outs to certain people. Shout out to my sister, Jennifer Mays, who just got some very, very good news yesterday. But she said I couldn't, announce it publicly. But it's some very great news. And she's not pregnant. It's nothing like that. And she didn't win the lottery. So if you put two and two together, you probably could figure out what it is. But I'm not going to put her business out like that, because she told me she didn't want me to announce it. And I guess she's not ready to announce it. But something really, really good happened in her life. And shout out to my sister Jennifer. Maybe, maybe she'll be on the show later on this week. She certainly is one of the easier people that I could get to do it. That's for sure. I'm also thinking about getting my mom, Mabel Mays, to do it. She says she wants to do it again. That's a little bit more difficult to record and to do. But I'm going to try to get on that. I want to have my mom on here. Maybe for the Christmas episode, I'll have my mom and my sister on here at the same time. Also, I want to give shouts out to my best friends. I have more than one best friend, but shout out to my best friend, my oldest and dearest friend, Tiffany McGoy, who has said that she wants to do the podcast. And I'm also trying to get her friend, Josie, shout out to Josie, to also be on the podcast, and we could do a three-way. Sorry about all that. There was some feedback in the background there that you might have just heard. But, yeah, I'm trying to get Josie and Tiffany on, because we've had a conversation on three-way on the telephone before, and it was very interesting. And that'll be very entertaining if we do a podcast out of that, I think. Also, shout out to my other best friend, Ann Menifee. I really I would love to get Ann on the podcast. I think that would be a very, very hilarious show because we have such a hilarious dynamic, even the way we talk to each other. That would be funny. Ann actually created Johnny Knows Best. She's a co-creator because she came up with the name when I told her I was thinking of doing her like a internet radio show. She was like, just name it Johnny Knows Best. And because I could not think of a name, I was going to name it Bitches and Cookies was going to be the original name of my show. But, that ended up being the first episode of Johnny Knows Best because her name was just better and it's more marketable. So, yeah, I would like to get Ann on the show, but I'm saving Ann for like a big episode. Maybe like my 100th episode. Which if I keep at this rate of doing one episode a week, I won't hit 100 till like next summer or next fall. I gotta start doing more than one episode a week. That's the only way I'm gonna get to 100. Before my brain tumor like overtakes me. That was a little brain tumor humor. But yeah, shout out to Ann. Ann is going to be on my show. There's certain individuals that I'm going to make do this show. I know they don't really, they act like they're not really sure if they want to do it, but I'm going to make them do it. Because I know that they would have a lot of fun, doing it. And I know it would be very entertaining. And I know my hits and my downloads and my ratings would go sky high. And, that's the important thing. That's what I'm all about. But shout out to Natalie Chapman, my friend Natalie, who also says she wants to be on the podcast. But then she was like, she's nervous about doing the podcast. She doesn't know about it. It's so crazy that she's nervous because I just know she would be so good at it. She's another one that I'm going to keep asking her every other day, will you please be on my show, until she just gives in and does it one day. But yeah, shout out to Julius Williamson, shout out to Frank D. Wilson, shout out to everybody that listens to my show all the time. Shout out to my homie Ralph. Big Ralph. I need to get Ralph and Tremaine on my show. Or either Ralph or Tremaine. Either one. But yeah, so that's my plans. I plan to get people to actually do this show with me at least once a week, and then maybe I'll do a couple of solo shows. Another thing I've thought about doing is start doing some movies on Netflix, where I'll pick out a random movie on Netflix, whether it's something I've seen or haven't seen, and watch it, and then come on and do like a review of whatever movie it is. I think that would be interesting. But okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of everything. What incredible stuff happened this past week in between episode 34 and episode 35? Well, George Herbert Walker Bush died. I think he was like 92, 95. He was up there. I think he was 95. He was in his 90s, though. He might have been 90, 91, 92. But not George W., but his daddy. His daddy died. Rest in peace. I know there's a lot of people that are not fans of George Bush that are listening to my show that, that they didn't have such kind words to say about George Bush. But all I have to say about that is, whether or not you like the guy as a politician or whether or not you like the person as a man, he had a family, he had people that did love him. So, all these people that are saying, this motherfucker can die, and I'm glad he's dead and he can burn in hell. And there's a lot of people saying that. I don't know if y'all seen that on your Facebook timeline like I've seen on mine. Now my friend Natalie she's texting me, and I was just talking about her. That's so weird. And here she is messaging me. I'm telling people, I'm gonna test her back right now. I'm telling people that I want you on the show. The people demand it. They want you to be on the episode of Johnny Knows Best. But yeah, this George Washington. George Washington has been dead for hundreds of years now. No, but George Bush died. A lot of people. But basically, I know I'm rambling a little bit. It's because I'm multitasking. I'm texting people and I'm trying to record the show, and I can't do both at the same time. But listen, just because this guy died, and I know a lot of y'all don't like George Bush. You don't like the Bushes. You don't like Republicans. Fine. But, all this, I hope he rots in hell and all this kind of stuff. It's just not necessary. Like, if you don't have anything good to say about him, just don't say anything. That's the best thing to say. And, that's all I have to say. I didn't know him personally. I didn't agree with a lot of his, politics and a lot of his policies. When he was president, I was like a kid, basically. I lived through Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Obama, and now this guy that we got in there now. But I guess the first president I remember was Reagan when I was really little. And then, I lived through the Bush era. And so I wasn't like a grown adult while he was president. But I remember him. You know what I really remember about George Bush? How they used to make fun of him on Saturday Night Live. Dana Carvey did a great George Bush impersonation. That's what I remember about George Bush. But, I remember him, taking us to war. I remember that. And, I don't know. I don't agree with him on a lot of his, stances. And, I'm not a liberal by any means. I'm not a Democrat. I tend to go more liberal with my thinking, but I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. I'm a free thinker. I tell people that all the time. But I like Barbara Bush. His wife was cool. But I don't really have that many things to say about George Bush. He passed away. He was an older man. I think he missed his wife. He only made it 7 or 8 months, after his wife passed. She passed away in April, I think. That might not be 7, 8 months, but math is not my thing. I know she died this year, so he didn't make it that long. But when it happened, I just said rest in peace, and that's really all I said, and that's really all I got to say about it. I'm not going to talk about. I think it's just bad karma to talk about somebody when they pass away, because that's something we're all going to have to deal with is death. Some of us are going to have to deal with it a lot sooner than others. But okay, so I'm done talking about that. Let's talk about Netflix and them canceling Daredevil. I know I can talk about this for 20 good minutes, and I only got 17 minutes left. So, let's get into this whole Daredevil thing. So, while I was going through my little ordeal earlier in the week with my chemotherapy and dealing with my mom and everything, I wasn't on social media for a couple of days. And during that time, Wednesday or Thursday, one of those 2 days, Netflix officially announced the cancellation of Daredevil. Now, a lot of y'all that listen to the show, or that, now my sister is testing me. Good grief. Your phone will be dead all day long and nobody will be talking to you. And then as soon as you start recording this show, 50 motherfuckers will start testing you at once. It never fails. It never fails. And you just trying to get through the show. But yeah, so they canceled Daredevil after 3 seasons. Netflix has decided to end it. To end the show. And, it's their right to do so. But I think it's a mistake for a lot of reasons, because this last season of Daredevil, the season 3 of Daredevil, these 13 episodes that they produced, I think has been some of the greatest superhero hours of television. These 13 hours, season 3 has been one of the greatest seasons, movies, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever seen. It was amazing. I think Netflix has really